welcome back to my podcast. I am joined here with, and introduce yourself, and I almost knocked my cup over.
I'm Neha. Yeah.
I'm Neha.
That's Holo.
That's
In the
Holo,
other
yeah.
corner. He's there somewhere.
And
I don't know. I don't
we
see the
got
screen.
Polo, and we got
I'm
Haley.
Haley. That's
Yep.
my name.
Two Haleys. Two Haleys. Yes, this is fun. This is also weird because I feel weird talking like this. But we're going to be
And
telling scary stories on this podcast. This podcast will probably come out tomorrow. Maybe.
boo
Ooh, ah.
spooky. Yeah,
Spooky
spooky
podcast. Spooky
spooky
podcast.
boo
Scary. Ooh, ah. Yeah, I'm going to name it
Yeah.
Ooh, ah. Spooky dookie dee. Okay. Neha?
Spooky dookie.
I'm sorry, Neha. Do you wanna start with the scary stories?
Hell yeah, I do. Okay. Can I just make one up? Because I have a really good one made up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, and in the audience, guys, we have Archer and Bonnie. Because Archer and Bonnie wanted to be included, and Archer was in my last podcast. You should check it out. Yeah. Go, Neha.
Okay. So, once upon a time, there was a person named Marco, and there was another person named Polo. They were so-called the Marco Polo duo. If you said Marco, the other one would say Polo, and if you said Polo, the other one would say Marco. They were fit together. They did these ghost hunting trips 24/7. Till one day they went in the conjuring house. They stayed a week in this conjuring house. And during this whole week, no, they were not blind, but during this whole week, Marco and Polo were freaking out. They were freaking out every last moment while staying in the conjuring house for a week. So, they decided to split up. They decided to split up and go look for some ghosts. And when they found a ghost, Marco said, Polo! Polo, here! And then, all of a sudden, Polo lost his sights. He lost his eyesight. The poor man Polo was eaten. He felt like he was being eaten. His soul felt like he was being eaten alive. That he ended up screaming, Marco! Marco! Where are you, Marco? And then the scariest thing happened. Polo's soul left. There was no more soul. Until Marco found Polo's dead body just laying there.
No.
And that freaked Marco out.
No way.
So Marco kept walking around the house, managing to stay the whole week in the conjuring house until the last day Marco brought out his spirit box reader and was talking to this ghost. He was talking to it slowly, nicely, and calmly. Each word out of the spirit box said, "Get out before you die." That was Marco's sign to run. So he started running and running until he got to the stairs, where he was brutally dragged down. He was dragged down until his head cracked open, hitting each step with blood splatters everywhere. And then he died. And the story says that Marco and Polo haunt anyone who plays Marco Polo and everyone who goes into the conjuring house. The end.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Thank you.
I
I'm
have
sorry,
one.
but when you started reading it and stuff, it was like, oh, what is going on?
Alright, I think I have one pulled up here.
Okay, huh?
I think I have one pulled up here as well.
Okay, I need
So it comes.
her.
Oh, I didn't read anything. I literally made that up on the
Yeah,
spot.
she made hers up like lickety split, like
I'm
right
not the
there.
best at that, so okay, so this one's called Room 4. So
Room 4.
fresh out of
Scary.
nursing school, I got my first real job in a fairly large hospital in an apartment that I honestly never thought I would work in. It was a 6-bed cardiac ICU with rooms that overlooked the city capitol building. It was a very nice unit, and I started out working 12-hour night shifts. The hospital I worked at had 4 other ICUs that were always full, so my unit always ended up being towed bed, meaning if someone was arrested or went downhill fast somewhere around the hospital, they came to us. I had been working there for a year, and I was no stranger to death. Each patient of mine who had died on my shift was usually already on their way out. Their families were by their side, the DNR order was signed, the funeral home was already picked out. It was rarely ever a surprise, in fact. The only time I ever needed to go to do CPR on my shift, it was not even in my department. So I went on a nice long 2-week vacation, got engaged, and had a beautiful tan. On my first night back, I received a report from the day charge nurse. She said she was off for a few days and suggested to remind the next day charge nurse that the priest was coming in the morning to bless room 4. I thought she was kidding at first, but she was serious. Apparently, while I was on vacation, every patient who was admitted to that room had died, but this came as no shock to me. People died often in our department, and it being a very religious institution, having a chaplain from almost every department, I just shook it off. Then she said that room 4 was empty and that it would serve as code bed for the night. Around 2 a.m., I got a call saying that they have someone to fill our open bed. The ICU downstairs was now going to be the code bed, getting we were getting your run of the mill chest pain, take a look in the morning kind of patient. Nothing to get too excited about. We get the patient admitted and all settled in room 4. He was a gentleman, about 50 years old or so, very pleasant, and his wife was with him. She looked dead on her feet, and I got her some warm blankets and took her out to the waiting room that had cots so she could get some rest. Around 3:30, I was watching monitors and the cameras in each room. All the patients were fast asleep. The cameras all cycled through, about 3 seconds each, on one small TV we had on the desk. Room 1 was fine, room 2 was fine, room 3 was fine, room 4... There was someone in there. It cycled too quickly for me to get a good look, and the doors to the unit were locked. Maybe the other nurse let his wife back in? I walked down the hall and glanced inside. There was nobody. I shrugged it off. It was late. I was tired. I was probably just seeing things. I went back to the desk and continued watching the screen. Room 1, room 2, room 3, room 4. I was not imagining anything. There was someone in room 4. The person was standing in the corner by the window, their figure completely draped in shadow. I could not move my body. It cycled through again. This time it was closer to the patient's bed by maybe 2 or 3 feet. The, the hairs stood straight up on my neck. The next time it cycled through, it was even closer. It stood in the light coming from the hallway, but despite the light, it was still shrouded in darkness. It cycled through again, and it was right next to the bed. My heart started pounding, and I could barely squeak to the nurse on the other end of the desk. As soon as my words formed, and I was able to make some kind of noise to get her attention, the alarm on the monitor went off, signaling that the patient had cardiac arrest. The overhead system came on. A card is needed in CCU room 4. People poured out into the department. Doctors, nurses, pharmacists, respiratory therapists. They all rushed into the room, but I couldn't move. It cycled through the rooms again. Room 4 came up, and this time the lights were on, and there were 10 to 15 people surrounding the bed, doing CPR and slamming meds into his IV. Someone went to get his wife from the waiting room, but there it was in the opposite corner again, a dark figure, watching this scene play out, just standing there. The man died of a heart attack. Room 4 was blessed that morning, right on schedule, and I put in my 2 weeks' notice.
I would have too. Shit.
That is creepy. That is
Haley,
creepy.
if
Yeah.
shit like that happened where you worked, you would have time dipping. I would not be. I would not work anywhere that was like that. I swear to God. If people
Yeah, I
kept
don't know.
dying when they went in that room, that would be a hello fucking no.
I don't think I could ever work ever like at a place like that again, like at some sort of ICU or anything like that. Like I don't care if my
Well,
career's going in the drain. That no, 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 no.
well, ICUs is just you're like in critical care. That's the
Yeah,
isn't it in critical care unit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're basically you're constantly monitored and stuff like that. So I mean that's fucking creepy. I
that
would
is.
not. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. This one isn't my story. This is like online as well because I can't think of anything other than everything you all know that I've said before
Yeah.
regarding my own experiences. But this is called Ghost Bro. My house was built in 1904. It is a single family home, wood frame setting on a concrete block foundation. I've been living here for about 12 years. Of all the weird things that my siblings and me have seen or heard in this house, this one event is my favorite. This happened to my brother. About 10 years ago, my brother and his best friends had started a garage band playing mostly Spanish rock, alternative music, but in Spanish. His friends could only get together on Sunday afternoons. They would practice into the early evening and they would usually call it quits by 8 p.m. This was the time I usually showed up and went to bed because I worked the graveyard shift. This happened in late fall, so the days were getting shorter. They had just finished a long session when the decision to head to someone else's house came about. My brother handed his car keys to his buddy so they could load up the equipment. Everyone had filed out of the basement, but the tricky part was that they needed to walk all the way to the back of the basement, up the stairs, through the kitchen doorway, down the hall into the living room, and out into the front porch. Everyone was outside sitting in my brother's truck waiting for him. My brother was walking up the back stairs when he remembered that he left his pancakes in a to go container sitting on a speaker in the basement. He made the decision to go back. Now the basement is not clean with full Now the basement is not clean with full sight lines. There had been partitions made, and the boiler and main heating unit are right smack in the middle. So after my brother walks back, he's about to retrieve his food in the container when out of the corner of his eye he sees it, a shadowy figure right at his peripheral vision. This feeling of dread and uneasiness washed over my brother. We had been taught that if you are in the presence of a spirit or ghost and you felt a bad vibe, to say a quick prayer or to cuss at it. My brother chose the latter. He basically just told it, hey, fuck you, I don't have time for this shit. My brother started to walk back to the stairs of the basement and up quickly, closing the doors and turning off the lights as he walked out. The last light switch is on the opposite side of the front door. Luckily, the door was open and the light from the street lamp was flooding the living room with its amber light. My brother said he felt something at his back, but at no point did he turn around. As he flicked the last switch in the living room, it went dark, as did the rest of the house. As he stepped out, he pulled on the door, closing it behind him. Still holding his food container in one hand, he jogged down the porch steps. He walked toward the front gate. Our house resides far from the main street, essentially having a large front yard but no rear garage. As he closed the gap between himself and his friend laden truck, he kind of smiled and thought things over in his head, mad at himself for spooking out when there was no reason. He climbed into the driver's side of the truck, putting on his seatbelt and getting ready to pull out of the parking lot directly in front of the house when one of his friends asked, "Hey, wait, what about your brother? Isn't he coming with us?" My brother answered, "What do you mean? He went to work early tonight. He's already gone. Do you see his car anywhere?" The next question they asked, "So then who was walking behind you when you were leaving the house?"
Oh,
Oh,
what the
That's
oh,
a
hell?
oh! I
Yeah.
fuck
don't like how that
no.
ends. I don't
Yeah,
like
that's
how that
creepy.
ends.
I
That's
have, I have, I have another one.
Oh well. Oh.
I have another one. No, 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 no. It's really short. Because then I'm gonna get off and go to bed after this.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It's based off a TikTok trend, and I thought to make it spooky.
Okay.
So, last month, it was Grimace's birthday.
Oh
Oh,
We all
no.
loved that
Boy.
big purple fairy monster. And all he wanted was a few friends to celebrate with. So he made this milkshake. But little did everyone know that this milkshake had a bit of poison in it.
Oh
And
no.
this poison was how Grimace was gonna get all his amazing friends to come to his birthday. So he started getting everyone to buy and buy and buy his milkshake. And he was so excited. And when the first person took a sip of that milkshake, they passed out. But not only did they pass out, they started bleeding this purple stuff. And it kept going and going and going. No one was actually harmed. They all woke up, but they woke up in a very dark room. This dark room had no lights, but in the corner you see this big creature just standing there. And when the lights turned on, everyone was covered in this purple blood, and everybody was forced to sing Grimace a nice happy birthday until they all died after eating his birthday cake. The end!
What the fuck, Neha?
wow.
That's
The
gruesome.
fuck?
Mm.
Oh my lord,
So good.
child.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
After.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye, Neha.
Love
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Love
Have a good
you.
night.
Have a
You
good night.
too. Love
See you
you
tomorrow.
guys.
Good night.
See you
Love
tomorrow.
you.
Love
See
you.
ya. Okay.
Much
Bye.
love.
Oh, wait, hold on. Bonnie's saying something. I want to read it before we go. Oh,
Bonnie
he just said,
already
what the fuck?
typed it.
Okay. It's not
Okay.
bad. It was a good story. Okay. Good night, guys. Love you
Night.
guys.
Good
Much
night.
love.
Love you too.
Kisses to all.
To
Bye bye.
Grimace.
Thank you.
Okay, bye bye. Okay. Archer is now being invited up to speak, but he's not gonna speak. Just gonna react. Okay.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I have a story that I found on Reddit, cause don't we just love Reddit?
Yes, absolutely.
This
Who
one is
doesn't?
called The Ghost at the Office. I worked for 2 years in an old house built in 1915 that has been converted into an office. This is in a historical town out west in the US that is a tourist destination. We call this place we call this the admin house, where around 12 people worked at. Ugh, English is hard. Which was for a larger company in the region. People's schedules were not consistent, so you often found yourself alone in the house with a few others. However, we didn't like being alone in the house due to it being haunted. I have the belief a spirit of a woman still dwells there. The CEO's office was the hot spot, and sometimes the basement too. Activity usually happened in the early morning or late afternoon when you were alone or only a few people were in the office. I would be working at my computer in the quiet admin house and hear a deep inhale and dramatic sigh of a woman coming from the CEO's office. Sometimes the sound of the chair being moved or papers shuffling would accompany the sigh, knowing the CEO was not in the office. I get chills every time this happened. I get up and look in the office, finding nobody there. Sometimes paper would be scattered on the floor. Other employees started taking notice to these strange happenings. The HR lady once came up from the basement asking if anyone just came down there. She heard the basement door open and close, then heard a woman give out a big sigh. Getting up to look, she found nobody there. None of us went into the basement who were there working at the time. Some of the more bizarre happenings was once when I had to come into the office alone on a Sunday to finish up a report due the following day. After a few minutes logging into my computer, I started hearing opera music. However, the music sounded like it was being played on an old phonograph with the scratchy noises. I thought it was coming from outside and continued working. After a couple minutes of the music stopping, okay, that's not correct English, and then returning, I suddenly realized it was actually coming from the CEO's office. Weirded out, I get up and walk towards the office. As I'm approaching the office, the music gets louder, and I hear a woman sigh. Just as I hear the sigh, the music abruptly stops. I look in the office, and it's empty. CEO's computer is not even in the room, since she took it home. One last encounter I will share was when it was just me and the CFO at the office. The CFO is coming out of the bathroom when she responds to someone calling her name from the CEO's office. The CFO goes into the CEO's office and then just comes out with a freaked look on her face. Nobody's in there, but a woman audibly called her name. It was just the two of us in the office. This experience both creeped us out enough to make us be done for the day and leave the house. God, just
Lovely.
just
Oh,
imagine. That gave me chills
oh, I got
because
another one. This is a really good one. This is a short one. But yes,
okay,
that was so creepy. Ooh. Oh my goodness. Okay. This one's called The Rocking Horse. One night when I was
Oh,
maybe 10 to 12 years old, I had trouble falling asleep. My bedroom was the entire top floor of our house, with my bed and such being on the left side and storage closets and a play area being on the right. I was lying in bed when I heard a noise from the other side of the room and see a rocking horse begin to rock. It was sitting just outside one of the storage closet doors. It proceeded to rock its way halfway across the room and stopped dead under the ceiling light. At this point, I was freaking out and just buried my head under my blankets and never peeked out again until morning. It was all confirmed to not be a dream, as the rocking horse was still in the middle of my room when I woke up. Furthermore, I got a stern reprimand from my parents for being out of bed playing with my toys well past my bedtime. Their bedroom was directly below the storage closet play area, and they had heard the creaking of the rocking horse shuffling across the room. Oh, that was so creepy.
uh,
Um,
have you guys heard, hold on. So there's this thing that it's called, I don't know if you guys heard it, it's a Serbian dancing lady.
yes.
No.
And
Okay.
apparently, it's about this, like, lady, if you're in Serbia, or in the area at night, and you're walking down the street, and it'll be this, almost like, you guys know what a babushka is? Like, what they wear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. They
So
love my
basically,
babushka.
so they're supposed to look like that, and this lady is doing a traditional Serbian dance in the street, and there's apparent things that if you like look at her, try to talk to her, or like approach her or anything, that she'll immediately start like chasing you. Now this is apparently a thing that um apparently, oh, what are they called? Just murderers, like I can't think of the word now.
Serial killers?
Serial killers will do in Serbia is just to do that. And if they see you, sort of thing, like if they eventually like kind of get to interact with you, they will literally chase you down and murder you.
Yep. That's something that actual people do because they think if they get away with it through one way, I mean,
Yeah. Here I'm trying to find some good ones.
I don't
See
know.
if
I
it,
may have to get off here in just a bit because I'm getting a little tired.
hey,
yeah.
you're good.
If you guys weren't aware, we're recording this at like
Late.
12 in the morning.
1:20 in the morning Eastern time.
Yeah, my
12:30 here. No, not 12:30 quite yet, but it's like 12:20. So, Polo, you should probably get some sleep.
Well, I'll be good.
I don't know. I'll probably listen to Polo or whoever says the next story, and then I'll go to bed or something like
oh,
that.
I have a real
okay.
short one if you want me to say it.
Oh man,
Like
this
it
all
happened to
these are
me.
long.
Go ahead.
What's that?
Like it happened to you?
No.
We're just
Well,
finding stories.
I do have a real short one like that happened to me when I was like 9. So my friend lived in this like very big house. It had a 3rd floor. And like her family, and when I say 3rd floor, I mean like so it had a basement, but it had a main level and then an upstairs, and then from the upstairs there was then another upstairs.
Yeah.
So, and this was like a really big old house. So her family just was convinced that it was haunted. Her mom's room was up there, and she lived with like her grandparents and like her aunts and stuff like that. Like their whole family lived together, extended and everything. So, we had been having a sleepover, and her room was on the 2nd floor. And her mom was teasing us earlier in the day, saying like, "Oh, don't go upstairs from the upstairs. It's haunted up there." And so we went up there. We're just messing around and doing what we shouldn't do kind of stuff. And we heard somebody like kind of like whisper scream at us like, "You don't belong up here." And so of course we ran downstairs and didn't go back up there. And so later that night we had gone to sleep, and I woke up dead out of my sleep, and I was looking around, and it's fairly dark, but I was looking around, taking in my surroundings before I, like went back to sleep. And I wasn't one that would just like wake up out of nowhere for
Right.
like no reason. Like it was if I had to use the restroom or was thirsty or something like that. So I just woke up like out of a dead sleep. And when I looked around, I saw a figure standing like in the doorway, and it moved closer to me until it was standing over me. And it was like
Ooh,
once it was standing over me, like I could see that it was like a woman with black scraggly hair. And I closed my eyes and I put the blanket over me. And then when I took the blanket back down and looked, there was nothing there.
that's
That's
weird.
great.
Yeah.
Couldn't
That
pay
story
me.
reminds me of what
Couldn't
happened
pay me
whenever I
enough.
was younger.
Yeah.
So I have a story before I go to bed actually. Okay, so I had woken up from like in the middle of the night out of nowhere, and I don't think that my house was ever haunted at any point. No. And so I just out of nowhere hear what sounds like my mom saying, "Archer, come over here." And so I look around, and I just woke up out of my bed. And so I look at the door frame and look out the door because we didn't have a door on it, so it was just a door frame. I look at the door frame and I see this blue figure. It was blue, like a light blue, and it looked like a shirt that my mom had. And so I figured it was my mom. And so I had a bunk bed with my brother. And so I start coming down the bunk, and he sees me going down, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And mind you, I was like maybe 3. So me and my brother, we were brotherly bonds. So he looks at me, asks what I'm doing, and I tell him, "Well, I think mom just called for me." And I say, "She's right outside the door." He looks and he's like, "There's nothing there. What do you mean?" And so I look again and it was just gone. Like
Ooh.
it I it was just gone.
Creepy.
And so like I I go into my mom's room and I wake her up and I'm like, "Hey, did you just call for me?" And she's like, "Why are you coming in here? It's 3 in the morning." "No, I didn't call for you." I
Oh, good.
didn't go back to bed that night.
Yeah, no, I
That
wouldn't
is
have
creepy.
either. Okay.
Oh
And
my.
I completely forgot about that story up until like you started talking about how you woke up in the middle of the night. It just reminded me of that so much.
Yeah, it
There's
And
just
so,
so
literally
much.
like jolted me out of sleep.
You know what's
yeah,
crazy is it always happens like when we're younger.
yeah.
And like
Whenever we
we
get
remember
older, it's
it
just
so
like,
vividly and we remember
Mhm.
and but then like people like know that they experience the same thing. My brother does this to me. Like he'll sit there and we experience the same exact haunting. And he claims that it never happened because he wants to forget about it and move on.
fair.
Yeah.
There
Um,
is something I found that is actually kind of funny because it goes along with what we've been talking about. It is called A Rude Awakening. It's a
Oh
short
Oh,
story.
god.
that's
Okay,
great.
so
Okay, I'm probably gonna go back to audience and be on my phone listening. So,
alright.
Okay.
okay.
I'll start it off here as okay. A rattle at the door snapped me awake. My head jolted upright, my vision blurry. The headache that followed yet another night of heavy drinking had already begun to kick in. I leaned forward on the armchair and rubbed my hands over my face. The bristles of an unkempt beard irritated my palms like a wire brush. Closing my eyes, I fumbled for the TV remote on the small table at the side of me. A glass clattered onto the wooden surface and rolled with a muted thud onto the carpet. Spilling the sickly smelling contents, I gripped the remote and sluggishly aimed it in the direction of the TV, hit the standby button, and plunged the room into darkness. The door rattled again. 3 knocks. Pulling myself up from the chair, I stumbled as I stretched, sending an empty glass bottle of spirits rolling across the room. Steadying myself on the back of the armchair, I rubbed my back and my neck with one hand. The muscles ached. The door rattled again. Another 3 knocks. "I'm coming! Give me a chance!" I shouted, shuffling through the dark room to the doorway that led to the hall. I ran my hand over the wall, searching for the hallway light switch, then flicked it on, wincing from the bright light. 3 more knocks. "Bloody hell, I'm coming!" I exclaimed, using the banister of the staircases to steady myself. I reached out for the door handle too soon. Falling forward, my shoulder took the force as it smashed into the wooden door. I cried out, slumped to the ground, and sat with my back against the door. It rattled 3 more times. The vibrations ran up my spine. It was as if nails had been hammered into my forehead. I winced and held my head once more. "Stop! I'm here!" I turned my head to the side and screamed at the door, rolling round so I was on all fours. I reached up for the handle and took it in one hand. As I tried to pull myself up with it, it turned and the door flew open. An ice-cold breeze hit me like a wall. My teeth clenched and my bones froze. Then it stopped, as quickly as it had started. Shivering, I stared outside of the porch. The moonlight glistened silver off the wet pavement. Shadows of the crooked wooden fence stretched up the steps into the doorway, but nothing else. No one stood there. Pulling myself up on my feet, I peered outside. Nothing. "Hello?" I murmured, bewildered. Nobody answered. Probably some kids playing tricks. I cursed out into the street and slammed the door. The key had fallen from the lock onto the mat. Bending down, I picked it up and after a few attempts locked the door. I stood facing the door, trying to work out what had just happened. 3 knocks again, just like before, this time from behind me, inside the house.
Absolutely
Is that it?
feckin'
Oh my
not.
Yeah.
god.
Okay, so Bonnie has a story he wants to tell, so I'm gonna add him up here.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. I'm gonna get nightmares tonight.
Hello.
I'm already getting chills. I'm like, I've
I know. Oh,
All right,
that
so
last one got me.
yeah.
that was horrifying. All right,
Yeah, it was.
this one is called the unrest stop. I was driving across the country with my mom and sister when I was 16, and my sister was 20. It was late, but we were rested still and alert. We were driving along an interstate and needed gas and a bathroom break, so we stopped at the only rest stop in 200 miles. There was a van full of teenagers on a road trip at the gas station, as well as a small gray car parked at the pump in front of us, with 2 young men standing outside of it. When we got there, everything felt wrong. We'd been on the road for days and seen many rest stops at night, and had never been afraid until then. My mom and sister went inside, and I stayed in the car. I heard the teenagers say they were creeped out and couldn't get the pump to work. and he left in a hurry. I was watching the car in front of us, and the two men had not moved at all, not an inch. They weren't talking. They weren't on phones. They were just standing there, still as stone. My sister and mom came running back out of the car, and when they got in, the two men slowly turned to look at us, while not moving or pivoting the rest of their bodies. And I swear to God, we all saw the same thing. They all had dark as pitch and empty. Truly empty, not black, not reflecting any light at all, just a void. We spent out of there and didn't stop until we were in the next city. The worst thing about it, the entire experience, we couldn't find the place on any map. We knew exactly which spot on the interstate to look, and we couldn't find it on Google Maps or any paper map we had. Even when we asked locals about the creepy gas station out on that stretch of road, and only got confused looks. We traveled on that interstate since there was no rest stop.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, hell
Oh no.
no. Okay.
Okay, I have another one of my own stories real quick. This one's short. So we had a dog. His name was Chance, and we don't have him anymore, but we did when I was younger. I was like a teenager. And so when he had to go to the bathroom, he was a big dog. So he would like pace back and forth in the downstairs between the so it was like the living room, and then there was the stairs to get to the upstairs, and then if you kept walking past the stairs, then you'd go to the dining room and then kitchen. It was all kind of laid out like that. So
Mhm.
he would pace back and forth across the floor when he had to go to the bathroom, and so you could hear his collar jingling and his like nails clicking on the floor. And it was a very like you knew the sound. It just was the sound it always was. So I went to get up to go and let him outside. And mind you, my bedroom was upstairs. So when I opened my door to go let him outside, he was laying outside my door sleeping. And as I looked at him, I could still hear the noise downstairs.
Oh
Oh,
no.
fuck that shit. I'm
Yeah,
moving. Mom, I'm
yeah.
moving.
That house was definitely haunted. We actually had so when we moved in, we learned later on that there was a kid who his parents like abused him, and he would hide underneath the front porch and like bury rolls of money and stuff so that he could run away one day. Yeah. And then also we uncovered that we had a bathroom like it so the people who had it before us actually were the ones that figured it out. And so it was like a little den on like the main floor. And through the den, well, there was this like big heavy sliding door. And then once you go past the
I'll be right
sliding
back. Y'all
door,
keep telling
you
stories.
get into the den. And then um, in the den, there was a bathroom. Well, the people who owned the house before we did, when they first moved in, the wall was completely blocked off, but it was a fully functioning bathroom. Like there was absolutely nothing wrong with it, but it was fully blocked off. And so they saw the window from the outside and decided to knock down the wall to see what was behind there. And like I said, they found a fully functioning bathroom, and they were like, well, why would a fully functioning bathroom be blocked off? Like, what is the reasoning for that? There's no reason other than that something was being hidden away. And so they, after they broke that wall down, and this is like what they came and told us because they came and toured the house. You know, like when you go to reminisce and like see what the house looks like after you grew up there or whatever. So they
Yeah.
had told us that, you know, they had experienced some paranormal type stuff. And I mean, I've heard the same things that they were describing about it beforehand. So like and I told you before, this den door was like a huge, heavy sliding door. Like it would slide into the wall. I don't know if you guys have ever seen one of those before, but it was a fairly old house. Um, and so that door would like you would hear it like open and it was loud because it had to be opened with force. Or like I would know that I closed it and then it would be open, or vice versa. I know that it was open and then it would be closed. And then we would hear like little kids laughing and we would hear doors open and close and stuff like that. And it all kind of centered around that den and that bathroom. So we think that something happened in the bathroom, um, but we just don't know what. But yeah, really creepy shit.
Yeah, so I went to visit one of my old house, like a house I used to live in. So, I had a cat there who died at that house, and and there's like this big woods in the backyard. So we buried him. We gave him like a really good tombstone and all that. So I'm looking at my old room, and so the people that are living there have this kid, and he goes, "Do you have a cat? Did you have a cat?" And I said, "Yeah, I had a cat here." And I was like, "Why? Why do you ask?" And he's like, "I still see him." And I'm like,
Huh?
"What the dude?" I
Absolutely
was
fuck
like,
no.
Paranormal.
had a horrible vibe. It was like, was he like gray? And because he kind of had like a wolf kind of pattern on him, like one of those cats. He was like, I still see him outside. I'm like, um, okay. Like, it completely freaked me out.
Yeah. I
And
had
like,
some
my
stories.
cat's not evil. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
My cat's not evil. Like, he wasn't like horrible. Like, he wanted cuddles all the time. He just would lay anywhere. And like, he was just telling me, he would just sit outside his door. And yeah, kid had some issues.
Yeah. Sounds like it. I lost it.
Hmm.
I had it. Now I lost it.
I'm
Ah, here it
sorry.
is. No, you're good. It's not your fault. I clicked out of it to see if I could find some more. Okay. So this one's another story that I found called I Think I May Be Experiencing a Haunting. Started 5 years ago when I bought my current house. I began having horrible episodes of sleep paralysis, so bad that I would dread sleeping every night. I would see hands crawl up and reach for me from the side of the bed, figures standing in the corner or at the end of my bed, sometimes spiders crawling on my ceiling. I still get sleep paralysis occasionally, but nowhere near the amount that I was then. Minor things would happen around the house during this time that weren't necessarily explainable, but easily written off as me having poor sleep or a lot of stress. Fast forward to about 2 years ago, I have a big bookshelf in my living room that I consider one of my most prized possessions. My books are always in the line and in the correct order. I'm super particular about them. When I would get home from work, a couple books would be flipped upside down with the pages out rather than the spine in. The light in my bedroom would be messed with too. I have it set so when I flip my light switch when I s- when I flip my light switch, the light stays off, but the fan turns on to the power setting. This would always be changed when I'd get home. The only way to change it is to pull the cord hanging from the fixture itself. Once I had a friend over, went outside of my house to chill, and obviously left the door unlocked. I tried to go back inside. Door was locked. Luckily, that time it I did happen to have my keys with me. As I grabbed them out of habit, lately things have been getting harder to ignore and write off. My boyfriend and I were sitting in the living room late at night watching TV. The lamp we had on started flickering really intensely. This never happened before with this light and hasn't happened since. We were trying to sleep a few weeks ago and I heard my son talking through our bedroom door. Opened the door. No child there. He was sleeping in bed. He's too young to pull any prank like that. A few nights ago in the shower, I heard my boyfriend talking to me. Voice clear as day, but due to the sound of water, I couldn't make out his words. Pulled the curtain back. Wasn't him. I went to use the bathroom around 2 a.m. another night this week. Closed the door to keep the cats out, but right as I was about to get up, I head back to bed. I heard a whistle on the other side of the door. No one was there. Asked my boyfriend if it was him trying to fool me, and he was just as shaken as I was. I keep waking up with random bruising and scratches too. People come to
Oh,
my
sounds like a
house.
mimic.
Yeah.
Ooh.
People come to my People come to my house and tell me they have feelings of being watched or not being alone. Friends of mine are afraid to come over. My cats watch empty areas of the room and run off like something scared them. I don't really know what to do at this point. I've spent the last 5 years ignoring it and coming up with some weak explanation for things that happen. But it seems to be happening more often as time goes on, and after this past week, I'm spooked. If anyone has any ideas or recommendations, let me know. Anything helps at this point. That kind of
Move
sounds
the
like,
fuck out.
yeah, that kind of sounds like my brother's, like what he experienced. Cause
Oh my
like
gosh.
they had this old house, and I don't remember how old it was, but the bathroom, the back bathroom had been built on, or like the house had been built onto that specific room. And there was just like you walked in the house and you just automatically got bad vibes and you're like, listen,
Hmm.
I don't want to be here.
I've
And
walked into people's houses and felt like that too. Like,
it's like you just
yeah, nope.
it's like you just feel like something's there that's not
Yeah,
supposed
like
to
you
be
can
there.
just feel it. Yeah.
And like we walked into the house and I just got like the first time we went over there, I just got this horrible feeling because they were so excited about the house and they were, like so like happy and all this, and I told them I was like, no. And then they had told us that someone had died recently in the house,
Oh no.
but
That's
it
a
wasn't,
bad
but
bad
not
sign.
not not that they died. They didn't die in the house. Apparently, they died at the hospital. But
Oh,
there
but they
was
had lived in the house.
Yeah, but there was things there that weren't supposed to be there. Like they weren't normal spirits.
That's creepy.
And like they had my brother gave us like a he found a cane up in one of the closets and he goes, "We'll give this to Papaw." And I looked at my mom, I was like, "If you give that to Papaw, so help me God, I will haunt you."
So
And
the beginning of your first story, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the beginning of your first story kind of like reminded me of something that happened to me like every single night for the longest time when I was a kid. And I would fall asleep for a short time and then I would wake back up and I would see like shadows that would go up the walls. So like I was in a top bunk of a bunk bed and I shared a room with my sisters and I would see in this specific room like nowhere else. If I slept anywhere else I didn't see it. And literally just shadows going up the walls, like a bunch of shadows, like flying almost, just up the walls.
Let's
And I
see.
would go back to sleep and yeah.
My
I'm not gonna lie.
sister-in-law
I
had the
hate to do
same
this,
thing.
but I'm gonna head out. Y'all have a good
Okay.
Okay.
night.
See you,
Good
Paul.
night.
Bye-bye.
I'm out of here. Good night.
Good night,
Actually,
Night.
Paul.
I'm just gonna hop in the other chat. I'm exhausted and I'm zoning out here, so I don't want to fucking just
You're
be up
all
in the
good,
thing.
Polo.
That's cool.
All right. See y'all later.
All right, see you,
I'll
All
be
Paul.
right.
over there.
Bye. I mean, my
Then there were
sister-in-law.
three.
Yes, then there were three. Dun dun dun. My sister-in-law kind of had the same thing. Hers, So the house, it was about the house. So she would always have these dreams, and it was like she couldn't get to her kids fast enough in the dreams because at the time they had their two girls and they were pregnant with the third one. And it's like my sister-in-law couldn't get, like, in her dreams she couldn't get to the kids fast enough. She was like stuck there, which is like, the thing of sleep paralysis. Like, you can't move, but you can move your eyes.
Yep.
Yep.
I had
And so, like, in these dreams she would have, so they had this baby swing. I've probably told this story, but they had this baby swing, and this thing was attached to the baby. Like, it would be pushing back and forth, and it would be playing a certain song. And my sister-in-law remembered it distinctly, that the swing was hovering over one of the girls' beds, and that she said that she tried to, like, move to get over there to, like, stop it from falling on the kids, and, like, she just remembered being so freaked out by that. And, like, I was like, "Oh, and here comes Archer."
Okay, I have a story to tell before I go to bed, but I'll let you finish yours first.
He has returned.
Oh no, you're all good. I'm finished.
You finished?
I just realized it's almost 1 a.m. my time, so I'm gonna listen to one more story and then I'm gonna hop off.
Okay.
Okay, mine's a really short one, so I wouldn't consider this like the story, but like
Mm-hmm.
And then there were three again.
Oh, he's still there for me.
Where did he go?
I can't hear him.
Yeah, I
I
can't
can't
hear you.
either.
Oh,
Nope, cannot hear you.
may want to go out and then come back in.
hello?
Okay, now we
Hello.
can hear you.
I have no idea what happened, but like out of nowhere, whenever I was just like laying down in my bed, I was just scrolling some YouTube, not YouTube shorts or anything, just like YouTube. Out of nowhere, it opened, and I was like, "What's going on?" I didn't say anything, and then all of a sudden, it said, "I guess I control myself now." And so I,
What?
being a 9-year-old, freaked out of nowhere, I set down my phone and I run to my parents, and they tell me, "Go grab your phone, we'll take a look and see what it did." And then whenever I look back, it was back onto YouTube, back onto the video I was watching, and nothing had happened.
What?
Jeez.
Your imagination. For
No, I promise you I did not imagine it, because whenever they went through it, they were looking and there was nothing there, right? Whenever they gave it back and I went back to watching my video again, they didn't check the little minimized button. You know how you can like minimize something on your phone and go to another like game or something?
Yeah.
I checked that and my Google Assistant was still there,
Oh.
Oh my
but it
goodness.
but it was cleared,
Oh my goodness.
meaning that I didn't imagine it.
Yeah, it's
It
always
also doesn't
creepiest
it
when
also
there's
doesn't
like
help.
proof.
Yeah,
Are
but
you
it also doesn't help that my my mom's aunt, which is my great aunt,
Mm-hmm.
had recently died at that point, and this was originally her house.
Oh, that's freaky.
Oh.
And that's when they
So
go, nope, for me.
yeah,
I'm
I wasn't expecting it, and little 9-year-old me scared as fuck for no reason.
I don't blame you. I would have been scared too. I know my cousin where they lived and stuff. They lived in this like weird old house. Well, they had an upstairs like place to the house, and no one would go up there. Like, they're like, well, you have a whole ass upstairs like bedroom and all this. Like, why won't you go up there? And so they basically all lived downstairs, and that was a big family. But they were so afraid of the upstairs like part of the house, they wouldn't go up there. And like they said that the whatever lived up there had red eyes, and you could see them in the night. Oh, Haley, you good?
I'm gasping. That's
That would be the
creepy.
time to call a priest.
Oh,
Right?
yeah. And like
Or move out.
it was just crazy, because I thought they were full of shit, and then oh, and now he's
And
back.
then there were three.
And
there
now
were
he's
four.
Okay, I
back.
have no idea.
But like it was just freaky at the time because I was super like invested in haunted stuff. And honestly, I would like to go on some like ghost adventures, like literally.
I would
Okay,
love to do something like that. Like
You know what? You should do it. Start a
ghost
YouTube
hunting.
I
channel.
lied. I have one
Start a
more
YouTube
story
channel.
before I go to bed.
Okay.
And it's another short one, okay?
I got a story
So,
after.
Okay.
okay. So, do you guys know what a digital detox is?
Like
No.
where you don't use electronics for
Yeah,
like a while.
okay, so we went on a family, me, my brother, my stepdad, and my mom all went on a family vacation to a digital detox, which was literally we just went to an Airbnb nearby, not too far. But it was a nice 2-story house. It was nice. Like had 4 bedrooms, um, 2 baths, one upstairs, one down. Um, and it was all nice, and everything was like really cool, except for this one painting, which really creeped me out, and I didn't like it at all. And so at first I looked at it, and its eyes were going towards the room I was supposed to stay in, which it was upstairs. Okay.
Genius brain.
So its eyes were looking at the room that I was supposed to be staying in. Well, I don't really like that, so I mean, it was alright, I suppose. The second I walked into the room I was supposed to be staying in, I got really bad vibes. Like, it was a little girl's room, or maybe not a little girl's room. It was like pink and orange. It was like pink with an orange trim, okay? I I right off the bat got bad vibes the second I walked in. Before, whenever I just saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's cool." The second I walked in, it was bad vibes all across the board. So I asked, "Can I just like sleep on the couch in your room?" to my parents, because there was a little couch in their room. They said no, so I could sleep on the couch in the living room there, which was also downstairs, which worked out perfectly fine. I woke up in the middle of the night and I had to go to the bathroom. So,
Oh god, and the bathroom's like right across from the room.
no, that was the upstairs bathroom. And I'll get to that in just a second. The downstairs bathroom was occupied at the moment. I don't know why, by who. Didn't bother to ask. Saw the light was on, door was shut. I went up to the upstairs one. I see my brother asleep in his room. I walk by the painting. I look back at the painting. The painting's now looking at my brother's room rather than
The
my room.
painting was looking around.
The painting went originally, whenever I first got there, it was day. It was looking at the room that I was supposed to stay in. Whenever I went there at night, it was staring at the room my brother was in.
Oh my goodness. Oh
Hell
my
no.
gosh.
And so, do what?
Hmm?
What'd you say?
I said hell no.
Oh,
That's terrifying.
and so I go to the bathroom, right?
hmm
Whenever I come out of the bathroom, the painting's looking at the middle,
Oh fuck.
just staring. Whenever I
Well,
walk
like,
past it
what do you mean?
and
Like,
I look
this
back at
was
it
like
because
this
I get
painting
scared, it
was this
was looking at my room again.
oh. Was this painting like a painting of
So,
a person?
um, it was just some creepy painting. And so whenever I go back downstairs, right, I'm almost asleep. I'm sleeping on the couch, so I can't even see what's behind me because I'm sleeping with my back up against the back of the couch. I can't see anything or anything like that. I hear a noise which sounds like the door,
Oh
like the door handle
no.
to the front door rattling.
Fuck
And so
no.
I I sit up and I look, and there's nothing there. There's no wind. There's nothing happening. Nothing. And then I remembered, hey, someone was in the bathroom. Maybe I'll go see who was there so I can have some closure that I'm not alone in the house awake. You know, I look at the bathroom door on the downstairs. It was completely open, lights off, both toilet seats down, meaning whoever was there, if anyone, was gone. I go into my parents' room because my brother was asleep in his room, so he couldn't have been the one to do it. I go to my parents' room. Both of them out. No, they're just asleep.
Oh my.
So I finally get back to sleep. I wake up in the morning. I talk to them. Hey, did either of you guys go to like the bathroom last night about this time so and so? And they're like, "Well, how'd you know what time it was?" And I said, "Oh, I saw the alarm clock whenever I went to the bathroom and yada yada yada." And so they're like, "Oh no, 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 we didn't. We didn't even use the bathroom at all. I didn't, yada yada." So I have no clue who or what was using the bathroom, and I still have no clue to this day.
You better off not knowing.
Holy
That's
Yeah,
all
cow.
I gotta say. But like, it's crazy. Like, if you bring that up to your parents are like, no, that didn't happen.
that didn't
Hey,
happen.
mom.
You're just crazy. What do you mean? Yeah, but I'm clearly I was I was shaken by the fact the painting. I I knew that that room was just something bad was going to happen if I stayed in it. Like I walked into that my room that I was originally supposed to stay in, bad vibes all across the board. My brother's room, perfectly fine, connected to the downstairs through through the stairway. Whenever you walk up, there was the bed, which is where he was sleeping. Perfectly fine, easy access to downstairs to just bolt for it if something's chasing you, you know? But my room, it was just at the end of the hallway, a separate room from like all the rest, which were on the sides of the hallway. Mine was at the end.
I feel like people
So,
should give disclaimers.
do I?
I feel like people should give disclaimers. Like, if they feel that the house is haunted too, that they should give you at least a warning
Well,
Right.
the thing
before
is,
you
right?
book that
Like,
place.
the thing is, right? After we left, we like were given a discount out of nowhere because we were gonna like stay and pay. It was supposed to be like maybe $100, I think it was, to spend the night, right? They ended up only charging us like 25 out of the 100.
They knew something was up. They had to have.
Well, see,
So I don't understand what happened,
it's just like
but the
that.
reason they were out of town was for a funeral, or what the thing said, close family.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That normally means someone really close to you.
So, like, so the lady who owned my brother's house that he was renting to buy, they knew something was up too, because after my brother moved out, that house got demolished.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Which you shouldn't do. You should never disturb the presence of something. Because that can just make it angrier, and like whatever you put on that property next, it's just gonna haunt it 10 times more. Like,
Right.
bad vibes, like all around. Oh, I'm so tired. I think we're gonna probably end the podcast now.
Yeah, I gotta
Wait,
go to sleep.
one more
Okay.
story.
One more. Well, Bonnie, you can tell it yourself. Well, of course, but like,
No, it's
bad.
1 a.m. I really have to go to bed.
Man, it's
Yeah.
2 a.m. for me.
It's 2
Well,
a.m. for
Bonnie,
me.
you should probably go to bed too.
I gotta go
My
get the
sleep
dog.
schedule was destroyed.
Well, that was
Yours.
a lot of fun and very creepy. I don't want to go to sleep now.
Just be
Oh,
like, just tell Austin, be like, Austin, I need you to hold me like a little extra tighter tonight because
Oh, he's already passed out. He's long gone. He's got to
go.
work tomorrow.
You go in, he's gone.
well, they're in the same
No,
room.
he's not. He's not like gone. I just meant like he's been sleeping for a while.
Dead. He's dead asleep. Like he
Man, he
ain't waking
out
up
like
anytime.
a light.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
actually went to sleep very quickly. At least I think he's asleep.
He's probably really tired from the traveling stuff.
Yeah. He was very busy. Okay. Have a good
Night.
night.
Alright. Good night.
Bye.
Bunny, I'm going to bed.
Alright.
Bye. Okay, thank you all so much for watching that podcast. This one will probably be uploaded maybe next Sunday. Um, which is after my next podcast. July 16th. And I just want to say this is the day before July 4th. I always pre-do podcasts now because it's so much easier. And I'm just going to say I hope y'all had a happy 4th of July. I'm going to be late, honestly, but I hope you all had a happy 4th of July. And I hope you all have an amazing day. Okay, bye bye.